Morning, everybody. I hope you're doing well. Afternoon, everybody. Hope you're doing well. We are going to begin the webinar at 3 minutes past, just to allow some people to join in. Right. Afternoon, everybody. A warm welcome to you. Thank you for signing in and for joining in with us today. We're quite excited about today's topic on sleep, rest, and restoration. My clock says 3 minutes past, so I am going to kick off with the introductions. Hopefully everybody is in by now. My name is Daniela Borges. I am a account manager or key account manager at Kaelo. I'll be hosting the webinar along with your facilitator, Tracy Helps. Tracy Helps, for those who don't know already, is a clinical social worker and a consultant for Ask Nelson. She's been working very, very closely with Kaelo on these webinars and has facilitated the first two, the January and February ones thus far. If you have missed the webinars, the recordings for the webinars that have passed are on our website. I will put a comment in the chat box on how to find those. It's the same link you can use to register for the websites of the webinars going forward. So yeah, for today, sit back, relax, and learn a little more about sleep, rest, and restoration. Tracy?
Great, thanks, Danny, and thanks for having me with you again, everybody. It's always nice to be invited back twice. And exactly as Danny said, today we are going to talk about sleep and rest and restoration, possibly one of the most important things that we can do for ourselves in terms of our health, our longevity, our emotional resilience, our adaptability. All of these things really boosted and supported by a good night's sleep. So I know that the quality sleep is something that is very close to my heart, certainly. There's nothing better than having a good night's sleep and waking up the next day feeling ready to go again. So I hope that many of you share that sentiment. So through the presentation, there are opportunities to contribute to Slido questionnaires, and I really hope you will do that. And we will take questions in the chat box. Danny will track that for me and let me know whatever's happening there as well. And I will pause from time to time to address whatever is in there as well. So please give us your questions, your shared experiences. We would like for this to be as interactive as possible. Okay, all of that said, exactly as introduced, today we're going to have a look at what is the importance of sleep? Why do we need so much of it? How does this thing work? And then also some practical information, which in my mind anyway is usually the most important. How do we actually improve on the quality of our sleep? And there's some really simple things that we can start to build into our routines. And then also a look at rest and restoration, and similarly, how do we do that? And then at the end, I'm going to do a relaxation with you. Depending how much time we've got is how much time I will dedicate to that, but I hope you're able to stay on the line. It'll be right after we close, and Danny will tell you about the next webinar and all those things, and then I'll take you through a quick relaxation to teach you a skill that you can use going forward in your life or by yourself. And there'll also be a recording of it in your toolkit that will come after the webinar, so you can use the audio if you so choose. And maybe you just want to relax for 5 minutes today, so hopefully you will all stay on the line for that as well. Okay, so let's start off, as I nearly always do, by having a look at what are the differences between these concepts. Why is sleep different to rest and different to restoration? And they really are fundamentally different. They are not the same thing, and we need all three of them to be optimally well. So sleep is obviously that essential function that allows our bodies and our minds and our brains, our neurology, our psychiatry, and there'll be a link to a TED Talk in the toolkit that we'll get afterwards that really explains the science of sleep and the medical consequences of not sleeping very, very clearly. And I hope you'll watch that TED Talk as well. But sleep allows our bodies to recharge. It allows us to feel awake and refreshed. We cannot be productive. We cannot be healthy. We cannot be well, and we can't live long either if we don't have quality sleep. So it's an essential part of our daily routines and our daily wellness. One of the biggest challenges that I always put out there when I talk about stress or burnout or life balance or any of these things is that we seem to have this view that sleep is an optional thing. That if I'm under pressure or if my life is busy, then I can somehow compromise on sleep. And that's the core belief here that we need to change. Sleep is not an extra thing that we do when we've got time. Sleep is a primary requirement, and we need to start prioritizing it and start prioritizing quality sleep, because along with diet and exercise, it is absolutely at the bedrock of our physical, emotional, social well-being. Rest is a different thing. Rest is simply the absence of demand. If I am resting, there is no demand being placed upon me. Intellectually, physically, socially, emotionally, there's no demand placed upon me. And we need to rest in order to recover from labor, from demand, from exertion. So the way that I always describe it is, if I've just run a marathon, okay, or cycled a race or swum a race, whatever it might be, if I've just walked around the shopping center and I need to rest, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do nothing. And that's resting. There's no demand being placed upon me. If I want to restore, though, that's now different. Restoration is about bringing something back to its original condition. So if I'm restoring something, if I'm restoring myself after I've run a race, I might drink something with electrolytes in it. I might stretch. I might go for a massage. I might cool down by walking around the block. Whatever I'm going to do, it's about restoring my body to how it was before the race. That's restoration. Much like if I get a beautiful piece of old furniture from my grandmother and it's really been around for a long time and it's a bit damaged, I might choose to restore it, which means bring it back to its original condition, make it better. So restoration is not rest. Rest is the absence of demand. Restoration is putting something back. And that's often our hobbies and our interests and our friendships and our spirituality and our mindfulness and all of these things that puts things back into our systems, physically, emotionally, spiritually, puts them back. So they're very different. Sleep, rest, and restoration are very different things, and we need all three of them to be optimally well. We live in a situation, though, where this is not necessarily the case. So we don't prioritize sleep. We don't prioritize rest. We don't prioritize restoration. We live really in quite a substance-fueled, maybe even substance-dependent life. So let me paint a picture for you. Let me tell you about the average day, certainly big city life. I don't know where you're all situated, but let's use Joburg as an example, which is where my roots most certainly are. Let's talk about big city life and what it looks like. So wake up in the morning. Okay, now I've probably gone to bed too late last night, right? Because I was working or watching garbage on Netflix or whatever I was doing. So now I'm tired. So instead of going for some exercise or eating a really healthy breakfast or having a cold shower, I drink coffee. But this is now not the coffee that my granny drank 100 years ago. It's not a teaspoon of Rick coffee. This is a double Maka Waka, blah, 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 from wherever. It costs 50 Rand and it's mega doses of caffeine. Okay, so now I'm awake, right? I'm awake. Okay, now I start my day and I get into my day. But possibly I haven't packed lunch and I haven't planned my day nicely and work is crazy and we're still catching up from the COVID fallout. So I'm spinning. But instead of stopping and doing some breathing or walking around the block, talking to a friend, seeking support, I smoke some cigarettes, okay, because I'm stressed. So I go outside, I take a break, I smoke some cigarettes, okay, and I feel better and I carry on. And then it gets to the day, and because I didn't get up early this morning and I wasn't mindful and I wasn't planned, I quite possibly haven't packed lunch. So then around 3 o'clock, I have this slump. I don't have a resilience routine, so I haven't taken a lunch break. I haven't gone to find some healthy food, so I shove some sugar into my face. Maybe it's a donut. Maybe it's white bread that metabolizes in sugar anyway. But I'm now picking myself up. I'm picking up that 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock slump with sugar in whichever format. Then I go, okay, I can make it through the day. And I finish my day and I get home and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so stressed. Are you really stressed? Or are you actually just high because you've had so many stimulants in the coffee, the nicotine, the sugar? So now I can't relax because I'm hyperstimulated. I'm stressed. I'm anxious. I'm taking a bunch of stimulants. So now I can't relax. So I drink some alcohol. Maybe even smoke some marijuana. Okay, so now I'm coming down a little bit. I'm relaxed. Okay, now I want to go to bed. But now my body doesn't know whether it's up or down because I've taken stimulants all day and then some downers after work. So now I don't know what I'm doing. So I can't sleep. Haven't managed my stress, haven't exercised, haven't eaten properly. I can't sleep. Simple solution, take some pharmaceuticals. Take a sleeping tablet, drink some more alcohol, smoke some more marijuana. Now I can sleep. Then tomorrow what happens? I wake up, I feel terrible. I feel sluggish. I feel almost hungover. And I rinse and repeat. I reach for the coffee again. And this is where we get into this pattern of quite radical unwellness. And then we think, oh, I can't sleep. You don't have a sleep problem. You have a lifestyle problem. And if we focused on sleep and rest and restoration, you wouldn't have a sleep problem. You wouldn't have a lifestyle problem either. So I think we have to look at this and go, how much of this am I actually doing? And Danny, I know that when we spoke, you raised some points around this content for yourself as well.
Yes, Tracy. For myself, I find if I take a magnesium tablet, especially if I've exercised for the day, if I take a slow mag, I feel I can sleep better. My legs don't kick as much, and I actually feel like I fall asleep and wake up in the same place. And after two nights of doing that, I realized, okay, hold on a second, I should actually probably stop doing that and stop taking those magnesium tablets, and actually maybe see if my body can try and do this naturally.
Well, you raise a very interesting point, Danny, because, we talk about the harmful pharmaceuticals and being dependent on alcohol or sleeping tablets to sleep, and they're not giving us a good quality sleep. We're passing out, we're being knocked out, we're not getting anywhere near the same quality of sleep, and we're forgetting how to sleep naturally. But if you're using a magnesium, and I'm not a doctor nor my pharmacist, so this is not medical advice, but magnesium is widely accepted as one of the supplements that genuinely help with sleep. And something like melatonin can also be used if you are battling with sleep. And as we go through this, we're going to talk more about how melatonin is taken out of our systems through our lifestyle. So thank you for raising that point on the magnesium, Danny. It is something that we can look at. And I think that very often we have magnesium deficiencies, and I don't think you necessarily do have to stop taking the magnesium. And that's something you'd want to explore with your doctor or your pharmacist to really understand the benefits of those kinds of supplements as opposed to the alcohol and the pharmaceuticals.
I got an interesting comment in the chat box of a gent saying that he drinks a glass of whiskey every night to fall asleep.
Yes. And I'm sure he's not the only one. He's just the first one brave enough to admit it. And thank you for that. I think that probably more than half of people are using alcohol at the end of a workday to calm themselves down. And in and of itself, that one glass of whiskey is not a problem. The problem is that over time, you're becoming dependent on it. And no one's calling anybody an alcoholic, but you're becoming dependent on it over time to sleep. And your body's forgetting how to do that naturally. So as I go through this, you'll see there's lots of suggestions that might help you to improve the quality of your sleep and not be dependent on that glass of whiskey. And to be able to have the whiskey when you feel like it because you enjoy it, as opposed to having it because you need it in order to sleep. So thanks for that comment. Anything else happening in there, Danny, or anything else you'd like to add to the conversation?
Another one that I can also relate to, the biggest contributor to his lack of sleep is his phone.
His
or
phone.
her
phone, her phone, all of our phones. Phones are a disaster. They are genuinely a disaster, and the blue light that they emit erodes our melatonin. So in fact, we used to think that melatonin was only eroded by blue light right before we wanted to go to bed. So the suggestion was to turn off your screens at least 2 hours before you want to sleep. TVs, laptops, gaming devices, cell phones, tablets, all of it, they all emit blue light and they erode your melatonin. But now we understand that it's not just the 2 hours before sleep, it's actually cumulative. So the more hours you spend on a device of whatever kind with the blue light through the day, the more your melatonin is eroded. So that's a problem, obviously, because melatonin is your sleep hormone. But it's also a problem because when you're on your phone, you're stimulating your brain. So you're reading the news, which is usually horrifying, or you're looking at emails, which is overwhelming, or social media, which is depressing. So whichever way you're doing it, you are stimulating your brain. Your brain is going, okay, it's time to work, it's time to read, it's time to think. It's not time to read or work or think. It's time to relax and shut down and wind down. The other thing is that you're emitting a bright light. And sleep is all about circadian rhythms. Our bodies are supposed to link to light and dark and warm and cold. We're supposed to go to sleep when it's dark and cold and wake up when it's light and warm. So when you produce all this phony light, this synthetic light, your body is going, but this doesn't make any sense because there's bright light, but I'm supposed to be asleep. So cell phones are possibly the worst thing we can do for sleep, for mental health, for social relationships. It's a whole other topic all by itself, Danny. Don't get me started on technology. Anything else?
There's another here that, let me just read it properly. Take your phone to one of the bed. Yeah, people agreeing with the magnesium supplements, saying that it's a good suggestion. That's about it for now.
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Danny. Okay, as we go along, please keep dropping those comments in the chat box. They do raise things that I perhaps haven't raised, and we'd love to hear questions and hear your shared experiences as well. Okay, so let's talk about sleep then. So I've painted a pretty bleak picture about our modern lifestyles, and I'm sure that most of us can relate to it. And I myself am pretty guilty of skimping on sleep when I need to get things done. I can be very functional on 4 hours, maybe even 3 hours. I can be perfectly functional. So I'm very guilty myself of compromising sleep instead of compromising other things. But we might be functional. We are not resilient. We are not optimally healthy. We are not well. We are not emotionally balanced. So there are lots of consequences to skimping on that sleep. So let's have a look at some of the things that happen if you don't sleep enough. And again, I would really encourage you to check out the TED Talk that will come with the notes after the presentation. It's very enlightening, and you won't skimp on sleep again after you've listened to it. But we know that sleep or lack of sleep can really compromise your immune system. If we don't sleep, we're less healthy. We know that sleep prevents weight gain because there's a direct correlation between cortisol, your stress hormone, and sleep and weight gain. So when we're stressed and we're not sleeping, we gain weight. So all of these things become intertwined. Sleep has a direct impact on your heart and your cardiovascular health. And in fact, there's some very scary research around daylight saving in the Northern Hemisphere. And when you move that hour, how many heart attacks happen simply because people have lost 1 hour of sleep. So again, there's very real solid research around the impact of sleep. We know that sleep equals good mood. If you have not slept, you are anxious, you are hypersensitive, you overreact to things, you pick fights for no good reason, you are not balanced and calm and reasonable. We know that sleep increases productivity. We know that it has a direct impact on the ability to learn. If people haven't slept, they cannot learn. So all of this has a profound impact on our neurology, on our brain's ability to literally function. Lack of sleep can be dangerous. Again, we know that lack of sleep is as dangerous as driving drunk. If you drive a car exhausted, you are as dangerous as somebody who's intoxicated, which is quite an alarming stat. We also know that if you deprive somebody of sleep, they go psychotic pretty quickly. So it's used as a means of torture by many, many armies around the world. So we know what damage lack of sleep does, yet we still don't prioritize it. Sleep can improve your exercise performance naturally because your body is refreshed and ready to go again, and it improves memory. Like I was saying, we actually can't learn if we don't have adequate sleep, which says a lot about the state of our current education system and the pressure put on especially university students who are trying to learn and pulling all-nighters and actually not learning anything at all. So all of this said, and some of the conversation we'd have, I'd love to get to a place where we can own up to our tricky sleeping habits. And remember, this is a completely anonymous platform. Nobody can see you, or I don't know who you are. I can see the exact same screen you can. So it's a very safe, anonymous place to fess up to some of your bad habits. So you can go along to slido.com and you can put in that number 800-210, or you can use a QR scanner, which is normally in your camera on your cell phone. If you're like me and it took forever to discover where that QR scanner is, it's normally in your camera. So go ahead and go to slido.com and you can tell me or tell us which are your 3 worst sleeping habits. And perhaps while we do this, I can lean on my colleague Danny to expose herself and tell us what her worst habits are.
Oh, Trace, not to put me in the open or anything, but I would definitely say probably my phone is my worst. I often find that my to-do list and my priority list is like longer than some people's to-do lists. And so then I wake myself up in the middle of the night so stressed about what to do about this to-do list. And then I try and like scroll through social media or something along those lines to try and just calm down and hopefully fall asleep with it. And
yeah,
I
so
see some people in the chat box can relate to that.
Yes. I will not be surprised, to put it that way, if that phone in bed tops this list. But let's see what the audience comes out with. I see 50 of you already participating. That's fantastic. Those answers keep coming in. But Danny, you are describing 2 probably universal experiences. And let's talk about the phone for a minute. So someone else mentioned it earlier already, so I won't repeat that information. But what you're doing is you're using your phone to almost unwind at the end of the day. And although that makes sense, I mean, I also do it. We do it to kind of unplug our brains from the demands, the to-do list, whatever it is that's going on in your life. You want to look at some nonsense on the cell phone. The principle of it makes sense, but the blue light and the bright light doesn't. So it would be better to read nonsense on a Kindle with that book light, or to read an actual book that doesn't produce that blue light. So there are habits that you can put in place of the phone that achieve the same thing. And again, in the toolkit after this, you'll have access to or links to some of the suggestions like Calm or Headspace, or my absolute favorite sleep meditation is called Sleepy Pause. It's for kids, but it puts me to sleep way faster than it puts my kids to sleep. So there are some things that we can do instead of the cell phone, because it's really not that helpful. And also, our cell phones are toxic. There's so much bad news and uncomfortable things on social media that it's not putting us in a great emotional space before we go to sleep. The other thing you raised there was the idea of anxiety or stress or the to-do list. And that really can get in the way of sleep. And I know when I struggle to sleep, and I come from a childhood of radical insomnia. I didn't learn to sleep till I was about 22 years old. I used to read the Encyclopedia Britannica because it was the most boring thing I could find to try and put me to sleep. So I get it. And I still have bouts of that. And when I can't sleep, it's nearly always about anxiety or trying to remember something for the next day. And what we tend to do now is we use our phones to make notes or to send myself a voice note or whatever your habits are. It's better to have a little notebook. Have a little notebook next to your bed. Sit up, write the stuff down, because then you can release it. It's written down, it's secure for tomorrow, and you can go to sleep confident that you can deal with whatever it is you need to deal with tomorrow. So the notebook next to your bed is important. And I think also the attitude that if you don't sleep, you're not going to get through tomorrow. Sleep is actually more important to your well-being, but also to your productivity than worrying about whatever it is that needs to happen tomorrow. So hopefully you can shift some of those habits, Danny. So next time I ask you that question, you don't have any bad habits.
Oh, geez, hard luck. Let's talk about sleep timelines. It seems to be a trend topic in the chat box here. So two things. If you do lose a night's sleep or a couple of hours sleep in a night, can you catch it up the next day is the first question. Do you want to address it before I ask the second one?
Yeah, let's do one at a time. So no, you cannot catch up on sleep at all. You can't catch it up the next day or the next week. And I think lots of us have the habit of skimping on sleep during the week and then trying to sleep late on the weekend to catch it up. And you actually can't catch it up. The damage that you've done to your body, to your brain is done. You can't catch it up. It's not like I can, eat a bunch of sugar and then exercise it off. It's not the same sort of principle. I have to sleep every day in order to maximize my wellness, unfortunately.
Sure. Jeez. All right. And then the second question is sleep timeline in terms of if I go to bed at different times and wake up at different times, what's the impact there as opposed to going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time? And is there a difference if you go to bed late and wake up late and go to bed early and wake up early? What are some impacts there?
Okay, so you've touched on possibly one of the most important sleep suggestions, and I'll get to it later again. I'll just skip it when I get there. So the thing with the human body, and I mentioned it earlier, is that we're tapped into what you call a circadian rhythm, which is our body's natural body clock. So if I eat lunch every day at 1 o'clock, I'm going to get hungry every day at 5 to 1. Okay, so our bodies tap into that rhythm. Okay, so if I go to bed at a different time every night, then my body never is able to settle into that rhythm. So going to bed at the same time at night and waking up at the same time in the morning, even on weekends, if you struggle with sleep, is one of the key suggestions, one of the primary suggestions around quality sleep, is having a very clear sleep routine, because our bodies are linked to light and dark and warm and cold, and we get into that rhythm. It's why shift work, or people who are pilots or doctors or people who work funny hours, why their sleep is so disturbed and their wellness so impacted, because they can never get into that solid rhythm. So if you do anything for yourself after today, going to bed at the same time, waking up at the same time is probably one of the most important things, along with no cell phones in bed. And then the second part of that you asked was, is there a difference in terms of going to bed early or not? And yes, there is. So again, we used to think that 8 hours of sleep was 8 hours of sleep. It didn't matter when you got them. But now we know that every hour before midnight, in terms of quality, is worth 2 hours after midnight. So in principle, the earlier you go to bed, the healthier you are going to be and the better your quality of sleep. And that's probably linked again to the fact that it's dark and cool and we're supposed to be asleep. If we think about our ancestors, cavemen, women, they went to bed when it got dark and they got up when it got light. And then they exercised all day hunting and gathering, and they were perfectly healthy. And we've taken that lifestyle and we've obliterated it. And now we're unhealthy. So we have to mimic those very basic routines in order to generate that health again. Did I answer all your questions, Danny?
No, definitely. So then so I have a reactive question to that. So how, if you have a job that doesn't allow you to have a solid 8 hours of sleep, whether early or late, is intermittent sleeping, I mean, how do we, for a doctor, for example, there is a comment here about if you work 24 hours a day and constant standby, how would you manage sleep and recovery for that? I don't know if you want to answer that now or in the recovery section.
Sure. No, I can definitely answer that. So I think that the bottom line is to accept that you can't replace the quality or the benefit of 8 hours continuous sleep. That's the only way to get those benefits. If that's impossible for you because you're a doctor or because you fly an airplane or because you're a shift worker or because you've got a small baby at home, I mean, there's lots of reasons that your sleep gets disrupted. The suggestion is always then to build as clear a routine as possible. Okay, so it might not be the same every day. So for the average person with the average lifestyle, you can go to bed at 10 every night, wake up at 6 every day, and you can build a predictable and stable routine. If you're someone who doesn't have that lifestyle, then you've got to build a routine as much as possible, which means that when you work a 24-hour shift, your routine on that shift, before that shift, and after that shift is always the same. I hope that's making sense. Quite difficult to articulate. And that you prioritize sleep. So often I think when someone says, I don't have a job that allows me to sleep, I think there are genuinely very few jobs that don't allow us to sleep. The rest are our habits and our work-life balance and our work cultures that aren't allowing us to sleep. But really, it's people who are working 24 hours, doctors, firemen, policemen, paramedics. It's people in those scenarios that genuinely cannot sleep. The rest of us need to take ownership around prioritizing our sleep. If you are one of those people, it's going to have an impact on your health, and you're going to have to prioritize it around those routines and demands by building as clear a routine as possible. That's not a routine. Does that make sense?
100%. Thanks, Trace.
Okay, anything else coming up there, or can I move us on? I see that 175 of you have answered, and 74% of you say that it's the phone is the big baddie. That's not necessarily a surprise. Let's have a look. More electronics, better different times, no routine, eat dinner late. Okay, so we can see, let's have a look. At the bottom, I exercise late in the evening. I'm laughing because exercise is one of the wellness suggestions, and it's the thing that we're doing the least of. So I'm having a little chuckle to that. In terms of, maybe that's the next webinar, Danny, how to exercise more. In terms of exercise, we want to exercise for sleep in the morning. So exercise at night increases your heart rate. Not that any of you are doing it. Maybe we don't even talk about this, but it increases your heart rate, which obviously takes a long time then to come down for you to relax and unwind. Intense exercise in the morning is one of the best things that you can do for sleep, because it primes you through the whole day to be ready to sleep at night. So if you battle with sleep, exercise in the morning, go to bed at the same time every night, and you're already starting to build a pretty clear routine. Okay, thank you everyone for participating in that little survey. Okay, so let's have a look then at some of the actual sleep suggestions. What are there? And I've covered some of them already, so I won't repeat them when I get to them, but the ones that I haven't spoken about in conversation, let me have a look at them. So you want to get up early in the morning and at the same time. And if you're a bad sleeper, you want to get up uncomfortably early. The earlier you get up, the easier it's going to be to go to bed at night. So get up uncomfortably early if you want to start resetting your circadian rhythm. The other thing is we can't nap. No naps. Because if you nap during the day, you're not going to sleep at night. So I know you're tired, but you can be tired for a day or two for the sake of getting back into that circadian rhythm. So no napping. Okay. Bed on time, up early, no napping. Take the clutter out of your bedroom. Clutter creates anxiety. Okay, we know this from also lots and lots of research. The clutter in your life space generates anxiety. Anxiety and stress block sleep. So your bedroom needs to be calm and clear and cool. Okay, we don't want clutter or noise or chaos or any of those things. Calm and clear and cool is the way you want your room to be. Exercise in the morning, we've spoken about. Breakfast is important because it breaks the fast. That's why it's called breakfast. It kickstarts your metabolism. It tells your body, I'm awake. It's part of syncing that circadian rhythm. Then you want to space your meals roughly 5 hours apart. And you don't want to eat late at night because in your body is metabolizing dinner. It's not focusing on sleeping. So eating late, again, is stimulating your body. You're giving it calories. Calories are for action. So all of these things, cigarettes, caffeine, sugar, calories, they're stimulants, right? So eat early. It's also good for weight loss, but eat early if you want to sleep well at night. Caffeine, nicotine, and sugar are a concern. They're all stimulants. If you are a sensitive sleeper, you might want to take these things out from about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and even earlier if you're caffeine sensitive. So caffeine obviously has a direct impact on our ability to get a good night's sleep. And I know when we were chatting before the webinar, Danny, you also had some questions on caffeine.
Yeah, I normally drink about four to 5 cups of coffee a day, easily, and they go so quickly I don't even realize that I'm on the 5th one by the time I get there. And often I don't feel like I've woken up until I've had that first cup of coffee. And I mean, the more you speak on this webinar, the more I'm realizing I'm living a bit of a substance-reliant life here.
Yeah, so caffeine is a sneaky one because it's also not only in coffee. So obviously it's in coffee, and if you're having 3 or 4 or 5 coffees a day, it's a fair amount of caffeine, especially if you're not having a Rick coffee, you're having a Seattle or a Mug and Bean, or it's really strong coffee. The other thing is that caffeine is not just in coffee, it's in tea. In fact, some teas have a higher level of caffeine than coffee. It's also in Coca-Cola, it's in all your cool drinks, it's definitely in your energy drinks. So by the time you look at all of those things, you've probably had a fair amount of caffeine in any given day. And if you're struggling to wake up in the morning, lemon juice, hot water, some jumping jacks will probably be healthier in the long run, although I know that I'm not going to pry most of you away from that morning coffee. And we're not saying don't have any coffee. 3 cups a day, 3 doses of caffeine a day or less is ideal for wellness and for substance dependence and for sleep. Okay, any other questions coming in there, Danny?
So there was one about exercise, and I don't mean to take you back to that, but it was quite interesting. Mm-hmm. How long before going to bed then would you recommend exercising, or how much time would you give between exercise and going to bed? I don't know if I'm wording that right.
No, that's perfect. I understand the question. So ideally for sleep, remember I'm saying sleep, not for fitness or for other areas of wellness. For sleep, you want to exercise in the morning. So if you're a difficult sleeper, you want to exercise in the morning. If you're a regular sleeper and you're not really struggling, then the recommendation is 2 hours before you want to go to bed, you should have long finished exercising. So I would give it at least 2 hours before you expect to sleep, before you exercise.
Perfect. I've got another here saying that yoga helps them sleep. Mm-hmm. It's really helps them. Another saying meditation. So interesting. So those apps that we spoke about that are going to be in the toolkit we send out. So links to like your Calm, your Sleepy Pause, and all those sort of apps will be in the toolkit as well. What is the earliest time you would recommend going to bed?
Okay, so I'm going to speak to the meditation and things quickly first. They will work, and yoga will work because you're breathing. So breathing and mindfulness and meditation all focus you in and take away the anxiety and the stress and allow you to forget about whatever's happening in your day. So those things will work. Scientifically, research will work for all of those reasons. In terms of what time you should go to bed, my personal view is this is a very personal thing. We do get night owls and we do get early birds. Myself, I'm a night owl. If you want me to go to bed at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, I'm never going to sleep. Never going to sleep. For me, I need to go to bed at sort of 11 is probably best case scenario for me. And if I'm not disciplined, then it's 12 or 1 or 2. I won't tell you the rest of the story. So, we know that we need to go to bed at the same time. But I think that time is a very personal thing. From a health perspective, earlier is better. Unless you are a genuine night owl, and then you are going to struggle with that. As long as you set your own rhythm, it's going to be okay.
I see a lot of comments saying how anxiety is a sleep preventative for them. So I just want to point out that those things like journaling, like the meditation app, like breathing before you go to bed, that would help with that sort of thing. Another question, white noise. Is that a good idea, bad idea? How do you feel about white noise?
So again, it's a very personal thing. Some people find it incredibly irritating. Other people are completely dependent on it. What it does, though, white noise, and whether you use a fan or you use soft music or the sound of water is often for people's choice. And you can test these out. Again, apps like Calm or Headspace have them. And if you don't want to pay for an app like that, you can also just go to YouTube and download white noise or download the sleeping the meditations. There are lots of them are freely available on YouTube, so you don't need to necessarily pay for an app even. But the white noise, it can be very helpful because it allows your brain to focus on something. So what's happening with the anxiety is your brain is going all over the place. It's thinking about 1,000 things. When there's a noise, it allows it to focus in on the noise. And I know for myself, before I got married and met my husband, I was a silent sleeper. I had to be dead silent. And then I met my husband, who is a chronic snorer and will only sleep with a fan, even in the depths of freezing winter. So I had to learn to, if I want to stay married, to sleep with noise, with white noise and snoring. And I did. And now, if there's no fan, I struggle to sleep. So we become very dependent. We call them sleep crutches, actually, very dependent on whatever it might be. And that's why they say when you have a baby, if you're going to rock your baby to sleep, you better be ready to rock it forever because you've taught it to sleep with rocking. So we put in sleep crutches and then we need them. People will say, I can only go to sleep if the TV's on. Yes, because it's become your sleep crutch. It doesn't mean that it's healthy. You just become dependent on it. So the white noise, yes, it does have a place. It's a personal thing, but it can be very helpful is the short answer.
Another interesting question, intermittent fasting, would that have an impact on your sleep?
Gosh, that's a very good question, but it's not one that I can confidently answer because we need to speak to a doctor or a nutritionist or dietitian. My gut answer, and this is not medical advice, please don't take it as such. My gut answer is that yes, it would have an impact because you've altered your metabolism and you've altered that rhythm. So it would have an impact. And if you are hungry, it's going to have an impact as well. So let's maybe seek more information on that one, Danny. But my gut response is yes, it would impact sleep.
Brilliant. Thanks, Trace. Another comment saying that this gentleman feels he needs to take painkillers for the headaches he feels at night, which wake him up to fall asleep. Any advice on that?
Yeah, so I would explore the headaches. I mean, I think that the headaches need to be treated properly, not just the symptom of the headache, the pain, but the actual headache ideally should be addressed. I mean, you shouldn't be getting headaches every night. That can't be good or pleasant at all. And there's another element here. I'm not sure what painkillers you're using, but if it's an opiate-based painkiller, then which is codeine and that whole family of substances, then that's very dependency forming, and your body will actually wake you up to sure. access opiates. Your body will generate pain to access opiates. We talk about, like an opiate pain cycle where there's no genuine pain. Your body's just sending pain so that you give it an opiate. So if you're using an opiate-based painkiller, then that might very well be a part of that cycle. But please explore those headaches with a medical doctor. You really shouldn't be struggling with those.
Completely agree.
Okay, Danny, can I move us on a little bit? So are there any burning questions in there?
Those are good.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think I was talking about caffeine, nicotine, and sugar. So let's talk about the nighttime routine. And this is, again, one of those core suggestions. We've got to have this routine. And this means that a period of time before you go to bed, maybe it's 20 minutes, maybe it's half an hour. If you're a bad sleeper, maybe it's 2 hours. You want to do the same things in the same order. So if you live my life, I will get up, I'll clear the coffee table, I'll load the dishwasher, I'll turn it on, I'll let the dogs out, let the dogs in, I have a shower. If you do those basic things at the same time of night, in the same order, in the same way, as soon as you get up to clear the coffee table, your brain goes, oh, she's going to bed. And it starts to prepare for sleep long before you actually go to sleep. So that nighttime routine, same time of night, every day, preps you for sleep long before you're struggling to go to sleep. We know that light is important. So bright light, radically unhelpful. Okay, so we don't want bright light. dim the lights or dim a switch, or use candles or solar lanterns. We've all got those thanks to Eskom. So whatever works, but dim the lights, because then your body's going, okay, it's nighttime, it's time to sleep. If you just sit in a room with candlelight, you automatically become more relaxed, more focused. You literally breathe more gently. You start to get a bit snoozy. Think about a campfire. Okay, so that dimmed light is really, really helpful. Devices need to go off. I think I've probably sang on that soapbox a lot of times. Then we look at temperature. So I've spoken about light and temperature a lot. Our bodies drop a couple degrees when we go to sleep, right? So if you have a hot bath or a hot shower before you want to go to bed, when you get out of the hot bath or hot shower, your body will drop again by a few degrees. That mimics the sensation of going to sleep. So a hot bath or hot shower, but a cool room. We sleep much better in a cool room than a hot room. In fact, making people sleep in a hot room is a form of torture. So it really interrupts sleep. Cool room, hot bath. Chamomile tea is the sleep tea. And if you don't like chamomile because it's a bit strong, the chamomile rooibos blend is also amazing. It's much gentler. So you try those out. They are really good for sleep and really help you to get to sleep and have a good quality of sleep. Certain scents like lavender, neroli oil, if you use those soaps or you buy the actual essential oil or use it on your pillow, whatever works for you, can also go a long way to improving that sleep. This is a big one, Danny. We only need to go to bed to sleep. So there's no working, there's no TV watching, there's no cell phone scrolling. We want to go to bed just to sleep, because our bodies make an association between bed and sleep. If we're doing other things in bed, then our body doesn't make that association. It associates bedtime with working or with whatever else, and then it's not going to make you sleepy. So we only sleep in bed. So there we go. Any other comments on any of those?
No, but I can telepathically hear all the people in their gutters. TV in the bedroom. How do you feel about that?
TV in the bedroom is radically unhelpful and it needs to go. It's bad for your relationship. It's bad for your communication. It's bad for your circadian rhythm. It's bad for the quality of your sleep. It becomes a sleep crutch, etc., 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 infinitum. A TV in the bedroom is very bad and it needs to go.
Yeah, I agree. I always like to think of the bedroom as a sacred space. And in fact, bringing any sort of, like a TV into it is or food into it it damages and messes with that.
Yes. And that's the declutter. So exactly, I like the way you say that. It's a sacred space. It's a space for calm, for sleep. It's a safe space. It's not cluttered. There's no crumbs in your bed. You're not eating while you're trying to go to sleep and not wake up your metabolism, or watching the news and getting all anxious. I like it. Your bedroom should be a sacred space. Thanks, Danny. Okay, perfect.
Right. Nothing else in the chat box.
Brilliant. Okay, so in interest of time, let me move it on a little bit. So we want to be able to give ourselves a break. And I know that many of you have highlighted the anxiety and the stress before trying to sleep as being a major part of this problem. And absolutely, 100%, it's probably one of the biggest blocks to sleep. The devices have got to go off. And I know you're all going to fight me on this, but the devices have got to go off and the routine has got to come in. Get those devices off and limit sensory stimulation. So the lights go down, the devices go off. You want to shut down. Read a book, but read nonsense, like romantic garbage, nothing that's going to make you think. Breathe properly. Journal. Write a gratitude list. Okay, it immediately gives you perspective and makes you positive. Use meditation or mindfulness. Use one of the apps that we're going to give you links for, and relax in bed. Okay, use some music before you go to bed if you need to, but find a way to wind down. At least give yourself this half an hour ritual. And people are talking about shift workers and people working, all night and stuff just now. When you're trying to build a routine in a non-routine, this is a part of that. So you do the same things before you go to sleep, even if you're going to sleep at lunchtime, it doesn't matter. You build in the same sleep routine, even though the times of that might change. This half an hour before you go to bed is fundamentally important to good sleep. And likewise, the half an hour in the morning, how we start our day, is as important. Do we start it with social media and to-do lists and emails and stress and panic and rush? Or do we wake up, drink something super healthy, go outside, take a few breaths of fresh air, do some exercise? How do we start and finish our days? Because that's defining the rest of our day, actually, how we start and how we finish. Okay, so let's have a look at rest and restoration. And I focused a lot on sleep, and rightfully so. It is the human superpower, and we have to have it if we are going to be optimally well. But rest and restoration are equally important, and we have to build these things in as well. So rest, like I said, the absence of demand, and so many ways to do that. We can lie in the sun, we can read a book, we can have a cup of tea, we can walk around the block, we can color something in, whatever, play with your dog. That's all rest. There's no demands being placed upon you. When we restore, we're putting things back. We're exercising, we're journaling, we're connecting with people, we're having fun, we're practicing mindfulness, we're decluttering our life space, we're putting things back into our lives. So got to have both of these as well as a priority through our lives. And perhaps I'd like for some of you to share, how do you restore? And while we do that, I'll take some questions or some conversation from Danny and from the rest of you as well. But how do you restore? What are your habits? Because I like to steal some of them, and perhaps everyone else on the call would like to try them out as well. So once again, QR scanner, or go to Slido and put in that number, and it'll take you straight through to this questionnaire. So while we wait for people to talk to us, Danny, are there any other questions or comments from you perhaps, or anybody else? Have I lost Danny? Oh, there we go. Okay, people are reading, they're exercising. Okay, these are great. Yoga, any of the Eastern martial arts, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, all of them tick so many boxes because they've got the spiritual element, they've got the breathing, they've got the exercise, they've got the mindfulness, they put you into community so you have the social connection. So something like yoga, phenomenal. What else do we have here? Walking, I think I saw Pilates, coloring in, one of my favorites. It really helps me to focus in and unplug from everything else. Walking on the beach, if you're lucky enough to live at the beach, that's amazing. Just quietness, absolutely, just being still, sitting on the veranda, working on the cars. Again, we get into flow, and flow is one of the requirements for happiness, actually. And flow means we're doing something that we love and we're good at, like working on your cars. That's so absorbing, everything else falls away. That's flow, and we should all have it. Playing with the cat, for me, it's my dogs, absolutely. Sitting with your dog and hanging out is really very restorative. Reading the Bible, I saw there, fantastic. Watching a movie, brilliant. That's another great way to put some energy back in. Wheelchair basketball, that's a rough sport. I've watched some of that. That's an intense sport. You might need to restore after that as well. Your hobbies and your activities will go a long way. YouTube, I don't know about the screens. I might challenge that one a little bit, although I did say movies are possibly good, as long as there's not too many screens. Lying on the couch, brilliant. Soft music. Music is brilliantly restorative, especially if we dance around the kitchen while we listen to it at the same time and sing out of tune. Those things help a lot. In fact, you can't be unhappy and sing at the same time, by the way, because singing stimulates production of dopamine and serotonin. We think that those happy hormones come from our brains, but actually they're produced in our guts. And when you sing, you stimulate your diaphragm, and it stimulates production of dopamine and serotonin. So sing loudly and badly while you dance around the kitchen, and you'll be a much happier person. And you'll sleep better too. Okay, what else do I see here that I haven't? Slow down, absolutely. A slow run, completely. Watch comedy, yes, that's definitely restorative. Rubbing your feet, a massage, those things, a long hot bath, these are all restorative. Brilliant. There's only one that Sorry, go on,
I have a good one in the chat box. Somebody says that they play teacher with their kids. It allows them to be intentional and aware, which is great.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, absolutely. Any kind of mindfulness. And remember that you can be an active meditator and you can be actively mindful. You can go for a mindfulness walk and just focus on how the grass feels under your feet, how the sun feels on your back, your breathing. It's anything that just brings you into this moment alone. You're practicing mindfulness.
There's another interesting comment here to say, what if your body wants to sleep early until late, and then during the day you're still wanting to sleep? I mean, I'm wanting to say that maybe your body needs restoring.
Yes. So you might need restoring. You might be oversleeping, and oversleeping becomes a habit and a routine and is not healthy. So too much sleep is maybe not as bad as too little, but it's not good for you either. You might have a sleep apnea in place where you are sleeping for hours but getting no quality of sleep. It might be that there's some kind of deficiency. You might be burnt out. It's again something that I would really encourage that person to explore in a counseling space and perhaps in a medical space. If you are not fully rested after 8 hours of sleep, there's probably a problem. And that could be a depression, a sleep apnea, a deficiency, any number of medical and psychological things that really, please, if you're sitting with these things, I'd urge you to explore them in a more meaningful way.
Definitely. For myself, Tracy, I mean, I like to do yoga as well. I think it's one of the big restorative suggestions there. It's I almost find it as a double whammy, where mindfulness on what's happening to my own body, and also recovering my body from potential stress that I could be holding on to, from exercise that I might be stiff from. So it's really, really a great suggestion.
And the swimming, walking, yoga are very restorative.
Very.
Brilliant. Okay, thank you everyone for sharing those ideas. I share some of them definitely. Watching the birds, one of my favorites. I see someone's added that one as well. Okay, so just a reminder of how you can access us, and then I'm going to hand you back to Danny to talk about the next webinar for a minute. And then I see that we're on time, but I'm going to go ahead and do the relaxation anyway, just in case you want to stay on the line and have a 10-minute relaxation. So I'm going to steal 5 or so minutes over the time. If you're going to jump off, please go ahead and do that. And thank you for your time and attention. Nobody will be offended if you are going to jump off. Those of you who want to stay on the line and do the relaxation, please do that. And we'll take that one as it comes. And we look forward to your calls at Ask Nelson to help resolve any of these issues that might have been highlighted today, or any issue at all for that matter. And then I'll hand over to David to talk about our next very exciting webinar, which I'm definitely going to attend as a guest this time. I'd love to hear about this breathing, and also will benefit your sleep. What Lisa's going to discuss will have a direct impact on your quality of sleep as well.
100%. Thanks, Trace. I just wanted to add that if you don't have access to Ask Nelson, to visit your HR department or speak to a family member about what you're going through, to just get it off your chest. It's worthwhile just having the talk. So our next webinar, which is going to be live on the 12th of April at 2:00, will be around breathing techniques to reduce stress and anxiety and enhance concentration and balance your emotions. It's going to be presented by Lisa Berger. She's an executive coach and a breathwork practitioner, and very experienced and very passionate about the topic. So looking forward to seeing you all. For myself, thank you so much to everybody who has joined the call today. I hope you enjoy Tracy's relaxation outline now. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks, Trace.
Thanks, Danny, and thanks everyone again from me. So I'm going to move us on to the relaxation. If you are going to stay, that's absolutely awesome. If I'm speaking to 5 of you, that's even awesome too. So what I need for you to do is to start off by getting yourself as comfortable as possible. Okay, so take off the shoes or the belt or the watch or whatever it is that might be irritating you. If you're in the office, and maybe sit on the most comfortable chair you can find. If you're at home, go hit the couch. There's nothing for you to see. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes. Make sure your cell phones are off, your email alerts are off. I'm going to ask you for maximum 10 minutes of your time just to really be able to focus in and give yourself a genuine relaxation. And this relaxation is one that you can use for yourself. You don't need me narrating it. You can do it for yourself 100% when you are struggling to sleep. It's called a progressive relaxation. It just moves oxygen through your body and allows you to relax. At the end of the relaxation, I'm just going to sign off because I'm hoping some of you might want to stay in that zone for a little bit of time. So I don't want to interrupt that with talking a whole lot of nonsense. So I'm just going to leave you in that state to enjoy the relaxation for as long as you are able to. Okay, so I hope you're all comfortable. Okay, devices are off. Okay, we're going to close our eyes. You start to get really, really comfortable. Feel like your body is completely supported by the chair, the floor, the couch. And I want you to start to breathe slowly in and slowly out. You're going to breathe slowly in and slowly out. Any noise that happens around you, around me, you're just going to ignore. You're focusing only on your breath and your body. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. Gradually building your own rhythm of breathing in through your nose, out through your mouth. As your body starts to get heavier and heavier and heavier. Starting with your toes, I want you to curl your toes as tight as you can. Curl them up. Hold it. And relax. Allowing all tension to flow out through your feet into the earth. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. One more time, I want you to curl your toes as tight as you can. Curl them tight, tight, tight. Hold it. And relax. Your feet are getting heavy as all tension flows out through your legs, out through your feet, into the earth. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. Moving to your calves, I want you to pull the muscles in your calves as tight as you can. Pull them tight, 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 tight. Hold it. And relax. Allow your legs to sink heavy into the chair as you breathe slowly in and slowly out. One more time, pull your calves as tight as you can. Pull it tight, 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 tight. Hold it. And relax. The body is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. Moving to the tops of your legs, your quads and your hamstrings, I want you to pull them as tight as you can. Pull them tight, tight, tight. Hold it. And relax. Releasing all tension as you breathe slowly in and slowly out. One more time, pull your quads and your hamstrings as tight as you can. Hold them tight, tight, tight. And relax. Allow all tension to flow out through your legs into the earth. All the time, breathing slowly in and slowly out. Moving to your stomachs, I want you to pull your stomachs as tight as you can. Pull it tight, 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 tight. Hold it. And relax. All the tension, the anxiety that you hold in your gut, let it go. As you breathe in, calm and peace, and you breathe out tension and anxiety. One more time, pull your stomach as tight as you can. Hold it tight, tight, tight. Hold it. And relax. All the anxiety you hold in your gut is released. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. The muscles across your chest, I want you to pull them as tight as you can. Pull them tight, tight, tight. Hold it. And relax. Extra deep breath all the way in. Hold at the top. And all the way out. Once again, pull the muscles across your chest as tight as you can. Pull them tight, tight, tight. Hold it. And relax. Extra deep breath all the way in. Hold at the top. And out. Moving to your shoulders, I want you to pull your shoulders up to your ears. Pull them all the way up. Hold it. And relax. Let them drop all the way back down. All the tension you carry in your back is released. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. One more time, pull your shoulders all the way up to your ears. Hold it. And relax. Roll them back down. All the tension from your back, your gut is released. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. Your body is getting heavier and heavier and heavier. Moving to your hands and your arms, I want you to clench your fists. Pull your arms as tight as you can. All the rage, the upset, the stress, the anger, the disappointment, the exhaustion, stick it in your fists. I want you to clench your fists as tight as you can. Hold it. And relax. Open your hands. Allow all that rage, anger, frustration, exhaustion to flow out through your hands into the air as you breathe slowly in and slowly out. As you breathe slowly in and slowly out. One more time, clench those fists as tight as you can. Hold them tight, tight, tight. And relax. Your hands are open, light, and loose. All the negativity flows out through your hands into the air as you breathe slowly in and slowly out. Breathing slowly in and slowly out. Lastly, I want you to move to your jaws and your face. I want you to clench your jaws, squeeze your eyes shut. Make everything as tight as you can. Squeeze the jaw, all the things unsaid. Squeeze it tight, tight, tight. Hold it. And relax. All the time, breathing slowly in and slowly out. Breathing slowly in and slowly out. Last time, clench your jaws as tight as you can. Squeeze your eyes shut. Hold it tight, tight, tight. And relax. Your body is now completely without tension. You feel supported, safe, and relaxed as you get heavier and heavier and heavier. Now we're going to clench all the muscles at the same time. I want you to curl your toes, pull your calves, clench your quads, pull your fists, clench your jaw, squeeze your eyes shut, pull your shoulders up. Every muscle in your body is as tight as you can make it. Hold it. And relax. Breathing slowly in and slowly out. Breathing slowly in and slowly out. Breathing slowly in and slowly out. One last time, curl your toes, pull your calves, clench your fists, squeeze your eyes shut, pull your shoulders up. Every muscle is as tight as you can make it. Hold it tight, tight, tight. And relax. Breathe slowly in and slowly out. You are completely without tension. You are relaxed, rested, and restored. Take a few moments to enjoy the absolute relaxation, the simple breathing. And when you are ready, and only when you are ready, you can roll your head, roll your neck, wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, and slowly come back to the room.